in the name of God, the most beneficent and most merciful. Today we have to start with nutrition in human beings. Nutrition in human beings. Nutrition is a process of obtaining and utilizing nutrients for growth and development. Humans are omnivorous in nature. We are omnivorous in nature and we take food just like plant products as well as animal products. The food that we take has to be converted into simpler form so that each cell can use it in the required form. The process of nutrition in humans is called digestion. For digestion, it requires specialized organs that is called digestive system. Human digestive system is divided into two groups, that is digestive tract or alimentary canal, yeah, we can say it gut, and digestive glands. Human digestive system essentially consists of two parts, digestive tract, that is alimentary canal and gut, and another one is digestive glands. Digestive tract is divided into following parts. The first part, the beginning of the digestive tract is buccal cavity, or we can say oral cavity. It is further divided into mouth, teeth, palate, up, and then tongue and glands. Our mouth is bounded by cheeks on sides, and in front we have lips. Jaws, we have two jaws, upper and lower. Upper is actually fixed and lower is movable. It is a movable jaw and this one is fixed. These jaws are covered by cheeks. These linings of cheeks have some glands. They have mucus glands which secrete mucus, which help in moisten the food. Then teeth. Humans' teeth are thecodont, they are thecodont, they are heterodont and they are diphacodont. Thecodont means that they are embedded in jaws. They are embedded in jaws socket. Jaws में हमारे teeth फंसे हुए होते हैं. Second quality is that heterodont. We have four types of teeth. First one incisors, then canines, then premolars, and then molars. Hetero, different types of teeth we are having. We are having four types of teeth: incisors, canines, premolars, and then molars. After that, one more quality is written, that is diphacodont. Di means two. That means we have two sets of teeth in our life. First one are milk teeth, and the second one are permanent teeth. Then next part of buccal cavity is palate. Palate is upside roof which divide your nasal cavity and your oral cavity. This roof is called palate. It is anteriorly hard and posteriorly it is soft. जो फारिक्स के पास जो पार्ट है हमारे माउथ के अंदर, पीछे आप टच करके देख सकते हो. आप आगे का पार्ट टच करेंगे, दैट इज योर हार्ड पार्ट, एंड बैक साइड दैट इज द सॉफ्ट पार्ट. After palate we have a tongue. Everyone knows this is my tongue, and our tongue is producible, flat and muscular organ which help in mixing of the food. Then we have glands. Here we have salivary glands, three pairs of salivary glands, and mucus glands in the linings of the cheek. The next part in our digestive tract is pharynx. Pharynx is also divided into three parts. The part behind the nasal cavity is nasopharynx. Pharynx से attached रहता है. Upper part is nasopharynx. टंग के जस्ट बैक साइड वाला पार्ट इज ओरोफेरिक्स, एंड लेरिंगोफेरिक्स जहां पर हमारी विंड पाइप और इसोफेगस बोथ पाइप ओपन टुगेदर. दैट कॉमन ओपनिंग उस जगह के एरिया को कहलाते हैं हम laryngopharynx. Then esophagus. Esophagus is a long tube and then which joins with the stomach. Stomach is further divided into four parts. The first one is cardiac, क्योंकि यहाँ होता है, here we have our heart, so that part is called, first part is called stomach, then fundus, body, and last part is called pylorus. Pylorus lead to the duodenum, which is a part of small intestine. Small intestine is also divided into three parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. This ileum is connected with cecum, which is a part of large intestine. Large intestine, it has cecum and then colon, which leads to rectum, and then from anus the undigested food removes out. These are the parts of your alimentary tract. So students, watch this video clip.
This is the alimentary canal or the gastrointestinal tract and the digestive glands. The alimentary canal, the long pathway through which food enters the body and solid wastes are digested, includes organs such as the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus.
Humans have holozoic mode of nutrition. First step is ingestion. We intake food with the help of our hands, just like we have studied in amoeba, takes food with the help of its pseudopodia. In paramecium, with the help of cilia into the oral group, we humans intake food with the help of our hands. We put in food in mouth. Mouth help in sipping, sucking of the food. Teeth help in mastication of the food. They break down your food material. जब हम खाना खाते हैं तो दांत क्या करते हैं, खाने को चबाते हैं, ठीक है? And then tongue helps in mixing of the food with saliva and mucus and help in the formation of bolus. Help in swallowing of the food. It also help in taste of the food. खाना अच्छा है, बुरा है, नमकीन है, मीठा है, क्या है? We can identify it with the help of a tongue. So tongue help in mixing of the food with saliva and mucus and help in swallowing the food. These all process occur in our oral cavity. Food is chewed, softened and mixed with saliva in oral cavity.
If we observe the structure of an alimentary canal, we will see that the mouth, the anterior opening of the alimentary canal, leads to the oral cavity or buccal cavity, which contains the teeth and the tongue. Each tooth in the cavity is embedded in a socket of the jawbone, forming a type of attachment known as a thecodont. The hard chewing surface of the tooth, made up of enamel, helps in chewing and breaking down of food. Interestingly, human beings develop two sets of teeth during their lifetime and are hence known as diphyodont. The permanent teeth in adults are of four types. Incisors represented by I, canines represented by C, premolars and molars represented by PM and M respectively. The arrangement of teeth in the upper and lower half of the jaw, in the I, C, PM and M order, is expressed using the dental formula 2123 upon 2123. The tongue, the second member of the oral cavity, is a freely mobile muscle attached to the floor of the oral cavity, begins the moment we put food into the oral cavity through our mouth. The teeth, present in the oral cavity, masticate the food, while the tongue mixes it with saliva.
Swallowing of the food is a coordinated activity of tongue, soft palate, pharynx and esophagus. Tongue shuts the mouth, palate close off the nose, and then larynx, it rises up because in pharynx it have the common opening of esophagus as well as windpipe. जो हमारा trachea है और esophagus है, ये touch this area. Front one is trachea. You can feel the cartilaginous veins, C-shaped veins. तो trachea or esophagus, they lie like this. Front one is, anterior one is trachea, and back side we have esophagus. These two opening together open into the pharynx. Pharynx part is important. It is the part of respiratory as well as digestive system, because both windpipe and esophagus open in a common opening called gullet. When we swallow the food with the help of epiglottis, that mouth of the trachea, that is called glottis, it shuts down. वो उसको बंद कर देता है, इसीलिए कहा जाता है खाते वक्त बोलिए मत. हमारी सांस भी रुकती है, जरा ऐसे उठक के देखिए, कुछ सांस नहीं ले पाते जब हम खाना एनगल्फ करते हैं. ठीक है, तो दैट trachea is closed by the epiglottis and your food is directed towards the esophagus. जब तक खाना मुंह में जाता है दैट इज वॉलंटरी, दिस इज इन आवर कंट्रोल. वॉलंटरी मींस इट इज हमारे कंट्रोल में. जब खाना हम मुंह में रखते हैं दैट इज इन आवर कंट्रोल. चूइंग इज इन आवर कंट्रोल. बट जैसे ही सॉलिंग स्टार्ट करते हैं दैट इज इनवॉलंटरी. ऑटोमेटिकली epiglottis shut down the glottis of trachea and food is diverted towards the esophagus.
The tongue helps push food from the oral cavity into the pharynx, a passageway for air and food. The pharynx opens into the windpipe or trachea and esophagus, a narrow tubular muscular organ. When food moves through the pharynx and approaches the esophageal entrance, a flap of elastic cartilage tissue called the epiglottis reflexively closes, thereby preventing the food from entering the windpipe. Mucus, on the other hand, lubricates the food and helps the masticated food particles stick together to form a bolus. Thereafter, the bolus passes through the pharynx and then into the esophagus by the process of swallowing or deglutition.
Esophagus is a 25 centimeter long straight muscular tube. Digestion not occur in esophagus because it lacks digestive glands, but it has mucus glands. The lining of the stomach have mucus gland to moisten and lubricate the esophageal wall. And one more movement it carries. This is one mark question. What is peristaltic movement? Peristaltic movement is a progressive wave of muscular contraction.
Esophagus conducts the food from the pharynx to the stomach. At the end of the esophagus lies the gastroesophageal sphincter, a one-way valve that allows food to enter the stomach but prevents it from regurgitating. Once the bolus enters the esophagus, a series of wave-like muscular contractions known as peristalsis pushes it down the esophagus and towards the gastroesophageal sphincter, a one-way valve that conducts the bolus from the esophagus into the stomach.
Bolus from esophagus leads to stomach through the cardiac sphincter. Stomach is a J-shaped muscular bag and the wall of stomach having gastric glands which secrete gastric juice, HCl and mucus. Gastric juices are help in digestion. HCl kills the bacteria which comes through the food and mucus help in protection of the stomach wall. एसिड से स्टमक की वॉल जल जाएंगी, तो उसके प्रोटेक्शन के लिए God gifted us with the secretion called mucus which protect the stomach lining. The functions of stomach are, first one is it stores food until unless it is partially digested, because gastric juices work for digestion and they break down it further into simpler form. So it stores food until unless it is partially digested. Then it secretes gastric juices which help in digestion. Next one is it churns food and mix food with the gastric juices. The churning movement of the stomach wall helps in the mixing of food with gastric juices, and that space is called chyle. HCl kills the bacteria, and water, sugar, simple foods like sugar, alcohol and certain drugs are absorbed by the stomach wall. Then the food enters into the duodenum, which is a part of small intestine. After stomach, food enters into duodenum through pyloric sphincter. I told you the parts of stomach. The first one is cardiac. At the junction of esophagus and stomach, cardiac sphincter muscles are there which guard the opening of stomach. Pyloric sphincters are situated at the junction of stomach and duodenum. Duodenum is a part of small intestine. Duodenum is a part of small intestine. It is 25 centimeter long. It is C-shaped and receives opening of hepatopancreatic duct. This is the important function of duodenum because the juices secreted by hepato means liver, pancreatic means as well as pancreas. The secretions from the liver and pancreas, they are received by duodenum for the digestion. These secretions play a very important role in the digestion of fats and proteins. So these secretions are received by the duodenum.
The stomach, a J-shaped sac, is located in the upper left part of the abdominal cavity between the esophagus and the first part of the small intestine called the duodenum. Gastric acid inside the stomach digests the food we eat. The stomach is made of three major parts: a fundic region, cardiac portion, and a pyloric portion. At the end of the pyloric portion lies the pyloric sphincter, which regulates the flow of the churned food from the stomach into the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, through the pyloric sphincter, and enters the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine. Here, the movements generated by the muscularis layer of the duodenum causes the chyme to mix with pancreatic juice and bile, the secretions of the hepatopancreatic gland. These secretions contain different enzymes and pigments that help in the further breakdown of food molecules. Pancreatic secretions now start converting complex molecules of the chyme into simpler forms. The simple substances produced in the duodenum are absorbed in the jejunum and the ileum regions of the small intestine.
After duodenum, it expanded into jejunum, which is 2.5 meter, that is 8 feet in length, and it is narrower than the duodenum. Ileum, this is the last part of the small intestine and the longest part. Ileum is 3.5 meter, that is 12 feet in length. It is the longest part and maximally absorption occur in this part of the intestine. Small intestine is, in total, it is near about 6 meter in length. मम्मी की साड़ी होती है 5 मीटर की होती है साड़ी, उससे भी बड़ी होती है हमारी small intestine. Small intestine near about 20 feet, and its diameter is about 2.5 centimeter, that is near about 1 inch. Small intestine plays very important role in digestion and absorption. Most of the digestion of carbohydrates, fats and lipids occur in small intestine. Intestinal mucosa have intestinal glands which secrete intestinal juice. Intestinal glands called Brunner's gland, they secrete intestinal juice, or that is called digestive juice, which is also known as succus antricus. Sometimes question comes ki, what is succus antricus? So you will write simply, it is an intestinal juice. Yeah, you can write it that it is a digestive juice. Simple. It contains too many enzymes for the digestion of carbohydrates, fats and lipids. Another importance of intestine is presence of villi. Villi means finger-like projection. Just like suppose this is a part of intestine and I will make these finger-like projections are present in the intestinal lining, and these finger-like projections are called villi. They are present just to increase the surface area. Look, this is this much, and if I make these finger-like projections some fold, so the whole length is covered within this much part, and if I open it, so it increases the surface area. So finger-like projection increase the surface area of intestine. These villi further have microvilli. Have microvilli like this, just to increase the absorptive surface. These villi are highly vascularized, means they are supplied with blood vessels as well as lacteals. After digestion, soluble food molecules, that is amino acids and lipids, they enter into through the microvilli into the villus in these blood capillaries and lacteals. Understood? The importance of small intestine is the presence of villi and microvilli, intestinal glands, and it is the main site for the digestion as well as absorption. Ileum leads into the first part of the large intestine, that is cecum, through the ileocecal wall.
Duodenum is followed by the jejunum and ileum that make up the rest of the small intestine. While the duodenum is the short, U-shaped portion, the jejunum is the long, coiled portion. The ileum, on the other hand, is a highly coiled region that opens into the large intestine. Small intestine, mucosa forms villi, small finger-like projections. The mucosa also forms crypts, called the crypts of Lieberkühn, between the bases of the villi. The borders of the villi have a brush-like appearance, as the cells lining the villi produce several microscopic projections called microvilli. Both villi and microvilli considerably increase the absorptive surface area of the small intestine. Villi also have a network of capillaries and a large lymph vessel called the lacteal.
Ileum through the ileocecal wall transfer food to cecum, which is a small pouch, and present the backflow of the chine, as well as one more thing is present in cecum, that is called vermiform appendix. In humans, vermiform appendix don't have any function, it acts as a vestigial organ. Then after cecum, food enters into colon. Colon, it is inverted U-shaped tube. Inverted U-shaped tube. The first part of colon is called ascending colon, then transverse colon, then descending colon. After that, this curved part is called sigmoid colon, and which leads to rectum. Which leads to rectum. Here, this is connected with small intestine. Ileum leads to cecum, where the presence of vermiform appendix is there. That is a vestigial organ. Leads to the ascending part of colon, then transverse part, descending colon, and this curved part is called sigmoid colon. That leads into the rectum, which is 15 centimeter long, and a terminal tube which open exterior to the anus. From anus, undigested food material is excreted out through this anus is guarded by the anal sphincter muscles. These all three are the part of large intestine. It is near about 1.5 to 1.8 meter in length. Intestine is wider than the small intestine. Large intestine is wider than the small intestine. That is 6 centimeter. This is 6 centimeter wide. Functions of large intestine is, first one, the absorption of water and some salts from the food. Second is secretion of mucus. And third one is egestion of undigested food. Last, this one, removal of undigested food from the body is called egestion.
The large intestine, which is the second last part of the alimentary canal, is divided into three regions, namely the cecum, colon, and rectum. The cecum, a small blind sac which hosts some symbiotic microorganisms, is not as developed in humans as in ruminants. Moreover, in humans, the cecum gives rise to a narrow finger-like tubular projection called the vermiform appendix, which is a vestigial or functionless organ. The cecum opens into the colon, which is divided into an ascending, a transverse, and a descending colon. The descending part of the colon leads to the rectum, a bag-like structure which stores undigested food as fecal matter till it can be passed out. The rectum leads to the last member of the alimentary canal, the anus, which digests the undigested food remains.
And in next lecture, we will study about the functions of different digestive glands, that is salivary gland, liver and pancreas. Thank you.
Till now, we have learnt about nutrition, autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition and their difference. Autotrophic nutrition is divided into photosynthetic and chemosynthetic, although heterotrophic is divided into holozoic, saprophytic and parasitic. Then we have learnt about holozoic nutrition in amoeba, paramecium and human beings.